Aqui você fica informado sobre as dinâmicas espaciais, políticas e econômicas que ocorrem entre diferentes países e territórios.
Tucker was asked by this Egyptian journalist about Vladimir Putin and people. And the Egyptian journalist was like, well, you could have asked him about why he killed people and censorship and all the rest. And here was Tucker's answer.
You should challenge some ideas. For instance, you didn't talk about freedom of speech in Russia. You did not talk about Navalny, about the restrictions on opposition in the coming elections.
I didn't talk about the things that every other American media outlet talks about.
Why?
Exclusively,
Yes, this
because
is my
those
question.
are covered, and because I have spent my life talking to people who run countries in various countries and have concluded the following: that every leader kills people, including my leader. Every leader kills people, some more than others. Leadership requires people. Sorry, that's why I wouldn't want to be a leader. That press restriction is universal in the United States. I know because I've lived it. I've asked my former, I've had a lot of jobs. And I've done this for 34 years, and I know how it works. And there's more censorship in Russia than there is in the United States, but there's a great deal in the United States.
Okay, we can stop it right there for a second. Okay, so this is where we start to get into the more interesting part of what Tucker is saying here. Okay, when he says that he likes Moscow, all right, fine. When he starts to say that the Russian way of and censorship is somewhat akin to how the United States runs things, the answer there is no. Just on a factual basis, that the answer there is no. You know how I know? Because Tucker Carlson doesn't only live in the United States quite safely, criticizing the current president of the United States as a senile dotard. He makes millions of dollars doing so. You know what happens to you in Vladimir Putin's Russia if you criticize Vladimir Putin as a senile dotard? You yourself, shooting yourself twice in the back of the head and then being thrown off a building. These are not comparable. When Tucker says that everyone, kind of reminiscent of Michael Corleone justifying the mafia when he's talking to Kay in Godfather 1. It's like, oh, okay, now who's being naive? The idea that the president of the United States has the summary ability to simply his opponents, the way that Vladimir Putin does, is not reality. Now, I don't like Joe Biden either. I think he's a terrible president. I hope he's not president as soon as humanly possible. Not obviously without wishing any ill health on anyone. But let's be clear about this. If your vision of the United States is that it is somehow comparable to the governance of a kleptocrat like Vladimir Putin, that seems pretty wild to me. And if that's the basis of foreign policy, I'm not sure how that is sustainable. The attempt to relativize the United States to Russia under Vladimir Putin, that's the part that I'm finding bizarre here in what Tucker is saying. And that leads to a foreign policy that is quite dangerous for the future of the United States. If the foreign policy of the United States is Russia good, Russia no worse than United States, therefore, if Russia takes Ukraine, for example, no problem. I don't understand how you uphold a powerful America in the world for the benefit of its own citizens under that rubric. Again, that's not a defense of anything Joe Biden is doing. But Tucker comparing himself and his treatment in the United States to the treatment of Russian journalists who dissent from Vladimir Putin is just, it is not factual. It does not seem to have a relation to factual reality. Tucker.
Obrigado e até a próxima jornada.